Hey there, and welcome to the Think Fitness Life podcast. We're fueled by the incredible clients who inspire us every day, allowing us to elevate their health and fitness journeys. On this show, you'll gain valuable insights from top professionals, hear inspiring transformation stories, and discover the knowledge and motivation to create your own best life. Let's dive in. As someone who has continuously used therapy as a way to heal and elevate my personal performance, I know wholeheartedly that you cannot always read the label when you're in the jar. And that's why it's so helpful to have a professional in your corner to talk to. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp to provide our listeners with the opportunity to work with a licensed therapist from the comfort of your own home. Receive 10% off your first month when you sign up by going to betterhelp.com/TFL. That's betterhelp.com/T as in think, F as in fitness, L as in life. And remember, you're not alone. There are people out there who can help.
Welcome back to the Think Fitness Life podcast, where we dive into health, nutrition, mindset. I've talked about this on the show in past episodes about what it takes to develop a mindset, what it takes to dive into your inner self of thinking and who you want to be and what you want to be. And with that comes daily adversity, life adversity, and it's always going to be part of our lives. Doing hard things or challenging things are going to make us grow. That's one part of the fitness aspect. But the other side of the mental game is how life treats us, how we get kicked down by life. And it can be hard at times. It's never going to be easy. I would hope it's not easy, because that's what develops character and develops a sense of purpose, a sense of life, a sense of drive. But you're going to have tough times. And that's true. And how we manage those tough times is what develops us as a human, and know that we can get through those tough times. Today's episode, we're going to dive into some deep stuff, some dark stuff, but we're going to pull out the other end to see how life can be great. We got a guest on, Colin Owensby, who's got a life story here to listen to. His main purpose is to show you that you can have that purpose in life, that drive to live a successful life, a successful career, and keep pushing the envelope of what you want to do.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Good to be here. Thanks for that intro, by the way.
To set the tone, this is what it's going to be about. If someone goes to your website, they're going to be, oh, this guy is in shape. This guy does bike rides. This guy's a runner. This guy's probably just your fitness guy. Take us back, life journey, where it started, what you grew up in. Was that your sport? Was that your life? And we'll pull it all together.
Yeah, I grew up in Northern California in a very normal neighborhood, very normal lifestyle. Mom and dad were together until I was about 17 years old. I had both parents in the home. I had an older brother named Kyle, about a year and a half older than me. He and I were in Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts. We did the rec league, soccer, football, basketball, swimming, downhill skiing, all the things. Just an active, fun-loving family. When I was 15 years old, my brother and my mom were cruising California to go look for colleges for my brother. He was an athlete, a stud athlete. He was getting looks from a lot of different schools. And I was a sophomore in high school at the time. I figured 2 years in the future, I'd be looking at the same schools. Big few days of looking at all the UC schools, the state schools, all those things. My brother's driving, and it's about 5:36 p.m., not super late. And he fell asleep at the wheel. We're on the highway heading north. And he fell asleep at the wheel, and the highway turned, and we did not. We left the highway at highway speed and went off of a hill and crashed into a bunch of trees there. We were all awake. We all remember the accident completely. I was the only one who couldn't get out of the car. My mom got out. She had some glass broken in her skin and bruising. My brother had a broken bone in his foot, and he had a scratch on his head, which we found out was a little concussion just from the impact. They got out pretty easily. My door was jammed, and I was wedged in the back seat of the car. The luggage, the velocity of that accident from 75 or 70 to 0, the luggage knocked my seat forward and hooked me around my seatbelt. I was bent in half and wedged in. Couldn't get out. By the grace of God, an ambulance watched us go off the freeway. There was first responders on the scene immediately. They were treating my mom and my brother while we were waiting for the firefighters to get there to cut the car open and get me out. The police officer arrived. They said there's not enough time for us to cut the car open because there's gas leaking and we're just seeing some smoke. They told me to cover my eyes. They busted the back window. We're in a Ford Expedition. They busted the back window and had me climb out, unwedge myself and climb out over the luggage and exit the vehicle. And when I went to go try to stand up, I instantly fell over. Everything felt broken. It felt like I took a Major League Baseball bat swing to the gut. They helped me up on a board up the embankment up to the road and put me in the back of an ambulance and put me in a coma for about a week for pain management purposes. And that was the first big change in my life. Up until that point, life was good and happy and normal. I'm grateful for my parents for giving me that. At that point, they weren't sure if I would be able to walk again because my vertebrae was actually touching my spinal cord there. And so they said, we're going to put him in surgery, but we can't guarantee he's going to be able to walk. And with the exploratory surgery, I tore organs. Phase 1, is he going to live? Yes, he's going to live. Phase 2, is he going to be able to walk? We'll see in a couple of weeks. They do the surgeries. I come to in the hospital. And that's when I was struggling. And my doctors, but the first thing they came in after I said, hey, am I going to be able to play sports again? Am I going to be able to play sports again? And my doctor looked at me and he said, well, definitely not football. Because I was playing football. I was a wide receiver at the time in high school football. He said, definitely not football. But we can talk about swimming and maybe some other things. He instantly was setting the impression, maybe not contact sports. I held on to that swimming. I held on to that. That was my carrot out on the stick. I did everything I could to walk and do the rehab, and I was in a wheelchair for a while. Then I went to a walker, and I was slowly strengthening my legs, and I went to a cane. I guess I should back up a second. With all that time of being in surgery, you're not really allowed to eat. I lost 45, 50 pounds, and I didn't have it to lose. I went down to about 125 pounds. I'm 6'2", very, very scary skinny. I had to build the muscle back up, build energy and build mobility, period, in general. And that went on to, I got in the pool. Once my scars healed, they allowed me to get into the pool. I got into the pool just to move around a little bit. Over about Christmas-ish time in December, started to move in the pool, doing walking in the pool, trying to build strength with zero compression. And then my folks and my doctor and I decided it'd be okay for me to go back to school starting right after the Christmas holiday. And I'm back at school a couple days. I'm getting a lot of attention because I have this body cast on me. I'm walking with a cane. And my older brother in the car accident, he only broke a little bone in his foot. He was rehabbing fine and actually active again. He's playing basketball, swimming, doing all the things. And the middle of January, we went to the neighborhood gym and I was doing my PT, my rehab that I had to do from my doctor. And he was doing his and training for the next season of sports. And he finished up with his lifting and said, his other good buddy, he said, hey, let's go play basketball. I was kind of finished with mine. I went and sat on the sidelines just so I could joke with them. They're playing a game called 21. So it was every man for themselves. There's 3 guys. I was just sitting there. He goes and makes a layup and he's running away from the hoop and he gets to about the free throw line and just immediately goes down. Just no warning, no nothing, goes down and starts to have a seizure. At first I thought he was joking. What are you doing? Get up. And then it was, oh, this is actually an emergency. Okay, let me go run and tell the front desk. And by run, I mean hobble as quickly as I can because I'm in a torso cast. Tell the front desk, they call 911, they call my mom because we're both minors. I go back to the court and we're supporting him because he's having a seizure. We've come to find out that was him having a heart failure at that point. It went into overdrive and he ended up dying right there at the court. Prior to the ambulance getting there, he was pretty much lights out. Our buddy Phil was there. I was there. Another kid was there. And the manager of the gym was trying to do CPR, but he had gone. When the ambulance arrived, they did CPR and they used compressions and the paddles. Finally loaded him into the wagon, and my mom had arrived at the gym by that time. She and I followed the ambulance to the hospital. That was the night that he passed away. Within 3 months, those two massive blows to my family happened. And I think it hit especially hard because things were already looking up at that point. We were both in recovery and things were looking up. And it really pulled the rug out from us again within basically one season. Yeah, that was the hardest day of my life. And I'm 42 now. I was 15 then, and I can still see it. It was today. At that moment, I didn't know what to do. Nobody knew what to do. My house became full of people there to support my family and mourn with my family, but it was too much for me. I had to leave. And thankfully, we had a really beautiful support system of families from my school, from my sports teams, relatives, neighbors. And I spent a lot of nights away from the house just because the house was full of sad people. I think a lot of people can relate to that. When someone passes, you want the support and you want the love, but sometimes it's can be suffocating a little bit, you know?
Because you're trying to compartmentalize and compress it yourself. And everyone, they want to support you, but sometimes that's just not what you want to hear at that time.
Exactly. And it's beautiful to get that support. And there is nothing that's right to say or do besides love them however you know how to love them. In those weeks, it felt about a month where people were surrounding my family. And even at my brother's memorial service, we were going to have it at our small church. And we had too many RSVPs. We ended up having a couple thousand people come. He touched a lot of people's lives, and all those folks wanted to show love and show support to my family, and we're grateful for them. But what I ended up doing sort of I don't know, I was a kid, but my parents were too torn to be super parenty, you know, they were trying to hold it together for themselves and their lives. And what I ended up doing was doing the things that my parents had taught me in my whole life, which was to go to nature, go walk in nature, which hiking and Boy Scouts. I went back to those roots of, okay, I'm going to go for a hike. I'm going to go for a walk with some friends. I'm be surrounded by community. I prayed a lot. I went to a Catholic high school. We can talk about religion later, but I prayed a lot and had people pray with me. And I kind of decided in that moment that I needed to go do the things that make me feel happy, because I wasn't going to get that at home necessarily at that moment. And I know that in order for me to show up the best man and son that I could for my folks, I had to come happy and complete and the best I could. And, you know, as a kid, you don't have the job to go support the family with. All I could show up for was their son. And I needed to go fill up my cup and my bucket individually so I could come back to the table as their son. And that was a big lesson that I learned at 15 years old that I still talk about now. And I have developed a roadmap of what that even is, because I think a lot of people don't know what to do, how to show up for people if they don't feel their cup is full. We can talk. That was sort of the backstory of what happened to me, and then the beginning of where the journey begins.
Yeah, it's important to have those conversations, to hear those stories, because sometimes people see someone and they don't know what's gone on in their life or in the background. And then sometimes it happens and you don't know how to react to it. If you have a loss or something drastic that happens in someone's life, you can get sucked down a vortex. And it's not easy. When you were going out in nature and exploring and praying and finding all this stuff, what in your head, did you have choices? Were you going, hey, I'm going to sit here and be grief, feeling empty? Or how do I overcome this? Was it a little bit?
I had just started going back to school, and I decided I probably shouldn't. I was a little truant. With my parents' permission, I didn't go to school for a little bit. I checked out again for a couple more months just because I knew that I didn't want all that attention. I wanted things to settle down, wrap my head around what happened before I came back to a lot of attention from my school and my sports teams.
It's tough because sometimes when stuff happens, it almost doesn't seem life is real. Maybe in my experience, is this really worth it going to school? Is it worth it doing all this stuff we do on a daily basis? And you step back for a second and go, what is my life?
Yeah.
What is life? Right? You have those questions. I think anyone who's had a hard time or lost someone, old age might be a little bit different, still a loss, but it's sudden that you question humans and life in general.
Something that helped me a lot, I found later on, there was a spiritual philosophy, and they said that you leave once your life's work has been accomplished. And I hold on to that because my brother at 17 years old had almost 3,000 people at his memorial service. He clearly accomplished a lot, and maybe his time here was done. And he had served his purpose in this lifetime. Maybe that was to be a big brother or a son to my parents, or teach them something, or mentor the kids that he mentored, mentor kids on his football team. And maybe his service was done with this lifetime and he was able to move on peacefully. And I think that's the only explanation that gives me some sort of warmth.
Yeah, I think that's important for people to have some sort of warmth, explanation, or something to tie something together to make them come back and say, hey, I can come to terms with this. Never going to be okay, but come to terms with. In your journey from all that, how did you pull yourself out of those hard times?
Yeah, I think it was initially a little bit of space. I knew that my support system was there when I needed them. I was able to freely take some space. And I knew that when I was ready to talk and be present and be Colin again to people, that they would be there. And I'm grateful that I had that. I think it was on that short solo period where I just I said, I got to keep moving. I got to keep going. And I did get back into fitness again after I was cleared to sort of do everything again. I think that was about the end of March at that year. About then I got into the swimming pool and I joined back onto my swim team. And I clearly didn't do great that season, but I participated, which was huge. Participating, I think finding a group that's health focused that you can participate with is major, because you guys are doing something together. You're obviously doing something that's good for your body and good for your mind and good for your soul. And people are leaning on you and you're leaning on people. You don't know what people went through today or yesterday or this last year. And they might just want to have somebody at that run club who will run next to them, because it feels good to run in stride along the sides of other people. I think that couple of weeks where I had to isolate myself was pick myself up by the bootstraps and let's keep trucking. I needed that time to breathe, process, and then let's get back to work.
It is now that's what started to shape your career of accomplishments and pushing your body.
Yeah, the career, I kind of never really knew what I wanted to do for work, but I did go on to swim for college and I loved that. And then I think it was about also in that same time where if anything sounded, it would be a fun, positive activity, I would say yes to it. And when I was accepted to go to this university, yes, absolutely. I'm going to do that swim team. I'm not going to the Olympics, but I'm going to swim on that team. Somebody taught me how to surf. And I was like, yeah, let's go. I wanted to say yes and do everything. I wanted to do life. I wanted to feel all of the spectrums of what life feels, because I already felt the worst. Now I want to go see all the joy and live this life to the max, and maybe for two people, The career aspect went on, and this is where it becomes unconventional. When I was a swimmer, I got scouted by a modeling agent in San Francisco, and I said, yeah, sure. It was never in my path. Someone said, hey, I think we can make you a lot of cash doing modeling for various catalogs. Would you do it? And I said, fuck yeah, let's go. I didn't know what that meant. I showed up day one on a job for a department store, and I was talking to people, having a good time. They took my picture. changed clothes, took my picture, changed clothes, and then sent me on my way. And I was like, okay, yeah, I could do this. This is a good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
I could do
know?
this for money,
Yeah,
right?
I was 19 and that
Yeah.
paycheck was great.
Oof.
They said, "Want you to have you back again next week." I said, okay, let's do it. That ended up becoming my full-time job at about 21. I moved to Los Angeles. Shortly after I moved to LA, I got picked up by an agency in Milan, Italy. Moved there. I did runway shows for big designers. I was in Vogue a couple of times and worked in Germany, Paris, Indonesia, East Coast, West Coast. That took me in a whirlwind for about 5 years. It was awesome. It was fun. I was living out of a suitcase. I was in my early 20s. I always had the opportunity to see more. I want to experience more cultures, taste different food, get out of the house. And then I decided I wanted to go back to Los Angeles. I missed the California lifestyle that I had grown up with. I wanted to go back to California and pursue modeling and maybe do some acting. And I moved to Los Angeles. I was doing TV commercials, denim campaigns and clothing campaigns. And I was at a house party through a girl I was dating. She was friends with a celebrity. And I started talking to her husband, Ashton Kutcher. And he was asking me, what are you doing? And I'm modeling. I'm just trying to figure out acting. And he said, we're the same height, same size. I'm starting a new movie in about 2 months. If you'd be interested in being my photo double, I can get you on set and you can see what it's all about. Giving me an opportunity to see what acting was. Very cool. And of course I said yes. I didn't know what that meant either, but I said, yeah, and we'll figure it out when we get there. And I'm grateful for him for that opportunity because the next 5 years of my life, I worked alongside him for 4 different feature films, a ton of commercials. And we started on 2.5 Men. I was his photo double, lighting stand-in, wardrobe double, and I did some stunts with the driving specifically. That was one of the coolest, unique experiences ever because I had the mindset to say yes to anything. I think a lot of people might be scared or intimidated, and I was just excited to go to work. My athleticism from my youth allowed me the skills to be strong in those stunt moments and figure out my agility. Very unique opportunity, but it was fun and it taught me a lot. And then I moved on from that position when I booked my own indie film that I was the lead in. He had a project going simultaneously. I had to step away from working with him and go do my own acting, which was fun and sad, but it was close to a chapter. It was exciting because I didn't know what the future was going to look. I think that's kind of the recurring through line through I didn't know what the future was going to look. Say yes. I don't know what the future is going to look. As long as it's a positive experience, I'm not going down, doing anything that's going to hurt myself physically or emotionally, but say yes. Go experience the world, experience what this world has to offer because it's pretty cool. I got really into fitness. I did my first half Ironman at 30 years old. I say half Ironman because when I was a kid, I actually did the Iron Kids triathlon. My parents entered me into the Iron Kids triathlon, and I was 8 years old. I got a little silver medal in my first one, but it took me a while to come back around to it. When I was 30, I did my first half Ironman, and then I did a couple more half Ironmans, and then I got into full distance Ironman. Again, I don't know what the future is going to look. I'm just saying, yes, I want to work hard. I want to set high goals that I don't know if I can achieve them, but we're going to reach for them and do our best to get there. And if we pass them, then we set a new higher goal. Yeah, on that level, then after I did my first full distance Ironman, I felt really good about 3 weeks prior to the race. And I thought, I wonder if there's another race about a month out after that. And I'll use the Ironman as my peak training day. I was looking on the internet and I found a 100-mile ultra marathon. Granted, I'd never run further than 26 miles ever. Why not shoot for 100? I don't know if I can go 30, but we're shooting for 100. I did the Ironman, thankfully didn't have any injuries. I got in the pool the next day just to shake it out. I actually spent more time in the pool and on the bike than running. I don't think I ran at all really leading up to the actual 100-mile. I just wanted to keep my cardio endurance up and not have the wear and tear on my joints. And so I told my wife, I said, hey, look, I'm not trying to win this thing. I'm not a crazy person. If I break my knee, I'm not going to keep going, But as long as I'm not broken, I'm going to keep going. And she was with me at every aid station, checking in on me, looking at me in the eyes. Are you okay? And sometimes later on in the race, they're a little googly, but we're still okay. She kept shoveling food down my throat, filling up my pack. And then, man,
Calories
that's
in.
all. I think I burned 36,000 calories in that race.
Which
I
one
did
did
the
you do?
Daytona. I ran from Jacksonville, Florida to Daytona, Florida.
Right.
Point to
Awesome.
point. Most of it was on the A1A highway. You're along the coast, meandering through those coast towns. Very cool, very well supported. If you're interested in doing a 100-mile, I recommend that one. It's in December. It's not super hot. It's very well supported. And there's aid stations. I think there was every 10 miles, there's an aid station. You can pull in, refill. Right. Anyway, I made it. I did 100 miles. I crossed the finish line running. I walked a couple of times, but for the most part, I stayed jogging for the whole time. And now I still don't know what my limit is because I did that and we're good. I think that's something really amazing about our mind and our body. And if you can use it, use it. If you put your mind to something, you really can accomplish it.
And you go back to the saying, say yes. If you don't know, say yes. A lot of times clients, young kids, I think they struggle with that. They have these goals, but I don't think they're willing to say yes. And it's that not knowing of what the future is going to be. Hence the whole point of mindset, because no one does. We don't know what tomorrow is going to be. We might have a trajectory and then life comes at you, life changes, or you just don't know what opportunities will open if you say yes.
Yeah, it's a snowball effect, and life just gets more colorful and more beautiful the more you roll, you know? It's really cool. I always say that my resume is unconventional, but that unconventional resume gets my foot in a lot of doors because it's people just also want to hear, wait, you did what? Let's talk about that. You know, okay, I'm going over to Nice. I'm going to France in 3 weeks to go do this next Ironman. It's the World Championship course. It's not the World Championships, but it's that course. We're going to go ride bikes up in the mountains there and run and swim along the ocean. And I live in the flattest place ever. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. There's not a hill in sight. The highest thing in the distance is a bridge. I can't train for hills here. I don't know if I can do it, but we're going to try. I'm going to do my best. I'm not going to stop. That's for sure.
Is that what got you into the Ironmans? Because I've seen a lot of people go into that realm. We're doing ultras, we're doing bike races, we're doing triathlons. What drew you to it? Particularly, was it the endurance? Was it the duration? What kind of draws you to these kind of things? Versus say, hey, I want to be able to squat a bunch of weight or clean, which this is my side of the world.
Right. Yeah. Let's see. I think it's the same drive as I want to squat a lot or bench press a lot. I think it's the same motivation as this thing's really hard. I really don't know if I can do it every single time I go out. But the training for it is rewarding. The day-to-day training is fulfilling. It's hard, but every single 4,000 meter swim that I finish, I feel good about myself. I feel like I got a great workout in. You going for a squat. What's your squat goal, by the way?
It was 500, but I've accomplished that.
There you go.
Now we got to pump that up, right? But I thought that's been 8 years.
That's the thing. And there's obstacles that come in the way. You might get an injury, or this month I'm just dragging ass. I cannot hit my target. But you keep going back because that goal is out there. And if you set a goal that you know is doable, but you don't know if you can do it, that's the thing. I'm not going to set a goal, hey, I can fly to the moon, because that's not happening. But I can't physically, you know. But, you know what I'm saying? I'm setting a goal that I know human beings can do. And I want to see if I can do it also, because I want to feel what that feels to be elite. I think people set marathon goal times to be sub 3, that it's elite. And people train and will run 10 marathons to get under that 3-hour elite mark, because they just want to feel what elite feels. The cool thing, the secret thing is that every day while you're training, that's actually what elite feels, you know?
Yeah. You'll hear people say the competition, the race, that's great, but it's the days of training that really make that worth it. That's where it all comes together, because anyone can go out and compete, right? Now, if you hit your own goal, that's even better, but then you're going to look back, how did I get to that goal? Oh, I was every day. This is what I did. This is what I had to do.
What I had to
give up. Because the other side, people don't realize what we have to give up to acquire the goals?
Yeah, I turn down most evening invitations.
There we
Maybe
go.
dinner, but I've got to be home
Yeah.
by 9 because we don't have kids, but I have a kid, Well, I don't drink. I mean, I'll have an occasional one drink at a celebration, maybe if it's somebody's wedding or something. But other than that, I try to eat as clean as possible every single day, every single meal. And it's not a sacrifice. It's what I want to do. When you reframe it as, hey, if you have a goal, it's much easier to do those weird or hard things to reach that goal than just to do it day to day. If I didn't have a race on my calendar for a year, I wouldn't be living as clean or as healthy as I currently am. I have to have those goals set out 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year out, that I have something to work towards, because otherwise you just feel, I don't know, it feels maybe a moot point. Yeah.
You're not moving the needle. It's interesting because people look at what you do and then they're, how can he do that? How can he go compete all this stuff? They don't see what we just talked about. They don't see, hey, you're in bed by 9, you're eating clean. And then they can't fathom it, because that's the hard work and the hard decisions that you make. Because maybe you want to go out and spend a night. Oh, my friends are out, and you're like, well, it's 8:30. I got to start wrapping things up. I got to ride tomorrow. I have to train tomorrow. That's the stuff that some people will look at us and be, you guys are crazy tapped. But then when you go have those feats of Ironmans and 100 miles, people are like, how? And that's the how to do it. It's just that sacrifice has to be really big to do some of these races. And they're becoming very popular. And I can see why, because it matters about time, but it really doesn't. Your part is, hey, I want to finish this. This is going to challenge me from a duration standpoint, from a fatigue standpoint, from a overall, just do I mentally want to keep going standpoint. And a lot of people, I think they're striving and looking for that, which is great. And then we have these opportunities to go do these things and just, hey, we're going to run around a track for whatever. Some of them are 24 hours.
We just had a crew do the 100-mile lap around a track. That's 400 laps around a track. Yeah. That's crazy to me, because I at least saw scenery when I was doing it, but that track's anyway. Yeah. I feel,
but that's important because people are looking for that inner challenge, that self-drive, that self-push, which is great. And I model some of my workouts after that. We're just going to do something that doesn't feel great, might be out of my comfort zone for an hour or 2 hours. But after you're done, you're like, hey, I did something hard. I'm not injured. I did it. I accomplished it. We could do these more often.
There's a lot of days where I know I have a run on my calendar and I do not want to run. I'm tired from the week. I'm tired from the day, whatever, tired from a hard work day. And I'm literally looking at my shoes by the door. And I know it. And you know what's cool? I married a woman who pushes me out the door.
All right.
She knows my goals, and my happiness and my fulfillment is part of her goal. Not my actual Ironman, but me being a fulfilled man. And she knows that when I do these things, her goals are getting checked as well. She's, put your shoes on, man. Go get out there. Support system is huge.
Have you guys had the conversation that where in her head, she might be, she knows she's saying the right thing, but she might feel bad because it's not really empathetic. I go with my wife too. Hey, I know you have to do this. I know you don't want to right in the moment, but I got to push you, because when you're done, you're going to be, okay, this is good. This is why I do it. And I know I don't sound like have empathy.
You know what's funny is she doesn't coat anything with me. She doesn't have to wear child gloves with me. She has 2 brothers. She talks to me. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Go get out there. You know what I mean? It's not like she's a teammate, which is cool. And if I'm grinding at work all day and I have a 4-hour bike ride and I have a thing after that, oftentimes there's a meal waiting for me at the house, which I'm grateful to have. I'd never ask her to do that. And she does it just because she's the sweetest human ever and supports me and all this stuff that sounds crazy to a lot of people. She doesn't do any of this stuff with me. She's not a runner. She's not a cyclist. She's not a swimmer. She loves doing yoga. She does her little Pilates. She loves going to the beach. We have different things that fill our cups, and we make sure that we are supporting each other. And if she's having a hard day, I'll drive her to the beach. I know she loves being at the beach. I'm going to drive her to the beach and make sure she has something to eat. That's just the partnership and the support system. And it's simple, but it means a lot.
And then it builds on purpose in life, and it builds on that drive of why 2 people get married, why they're a team, why they're building whatever life it is together. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of it. To help people get there and understand that, hey, this is how we go.
Yeah.
Boom, bingo. You're running, you're biking, you got into
Oh
fitness
yeah.
big time, huh?
And I was
Hell
in
yeah.
it, and then I got out of it, and I realized I needed to get back in it.
Okay.
That's when I stopped swimming in college, I got out of fitness for 4 or 5 years. I didn't get overweight. I got a little underweight, but I was also modeling. So it was supported by the industry.
Culture.
It wasn't eating disorder or anything like that. Thankfully, it was truly just, I wasn't powerlifting. I was just walking everywhere and eating a little bit, I got kind of skinny, but I wanted to feel stronger and look stronger and be more, I don't know, manly. I wanted to be more masculine in that sense, and I wanted to feel stronger.
Right.
I got a gym membership and got my ass to work. Yeah.
And where'd that take you? I read that you made a stop at Equinox.
I did.
At one point.
I coached at Equinox in Marina Del Rey, California. That was a beautiful gym, really great. And then right after that, I got hired. I was taking classes at Barry's, which is a HIIT class. I loved it. I thought it was fun. And somebody who worked there at the corporate side said, hey, have you ever thought about coaching classes? Because at Equinox, I hadn't. I was just one-on-one. And I hadn't thought about coaching classes, but I said, you think I have what it takes to coach? And they were, we would love to have you coach here. They trained me up, and I was a coach with Barry's in Los Angeles for a few years. And then I moved on to their corporate team, working with new studio openings, as well as community marketing for events from Seattle to San Diego. And then special event pop-ups. We produced the Sundance Film Festival, Barry's pop-up. It was really cool.
Love it.
And during the pandemic, obviously indoor fitness and marketing budgets across the world got slashed. I got slashed. And my wife and I moved to Charleston, South Carolina. And that's where we are now. A couple of years ago, the CEO at the time called me up and said, hey, we're looking at Charleston. What do you know? We chatted. He said, we'd love to have you on the team if you want to be on the team, because I had moved into selling real estate here. I said, yeah, I can come on as part-time, but I'd love to be involved because it was my favorite job that I had. I get to talk to 45 people per hour and encourage people on their fitness journeys and see, you're literally professional athletes, or it's your first day ever working out, coming into Barry's. We're going to be your teammate and your instructor and give you the best workout of your life and welcome you into our community. I'm still just part-time there. I have 4 classes a week, but I love it. I truly love it. I'll keep doing it until they kick me out.
Have you been on that journey to look for that supplement? Nothing too extreme. The one you're looking for that gets the job done and you actually feel it. Well, I have that supplement for you. It's Recommend, Man Formula, Lady Formula, and Clear Focus. Only 3 supplements this company has. And that's all you need, whether you're going to stack them. My favorite's the stacked. Man Formula plus Clear Focus. If you're a female, Lady Formula, Clear Focus. My squats have not been better. My lifts have not gone better. I feel stamina, energy, endurance during the lift. I feel great recovery-wise. Throughout the day, I have energy and focus. My brain feels good. My central nervous system is turned on. And most important, sexual function. When I tell you that it packs a punch and gives you what you need from a man's perspective, it enhances hormones. It optimizes my mitochondria. And you know what? It gives me the drive and libido that I could never complain about. Plus all the other performance things, that is this supplement. Recommend supplements putting the cleanest ingredients in their products to be the optimal stop for overall health, performance, hormones, you name it. It's got stuff like Tonkat Ali in there for strength. It's got L-arginine for blood flow performance. Stuff you don't even think about. Then the Clear Focus, we're talking nootropics through and through. Brain health, optimizing focus, clarity. Screw those energy drinks. Screw multiple cups of coffee. My morning routine, I have 1 cup of coffee. I put Clear Focus and I take my Man Formula. I stack them together and my day is on. And you can take advantage and get on the same regimen. Check out recommend.com. Use code TFL20 for 20% off and get control. Take advantage of your health today. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fills
man,
the
it's
cup.
so fun. And it's a great way to meet people too, especially living in a new city. And that's another thing that I talk about too, is finding community through fitness, because it's something that I excel and I'm passionate about. It's my one big tool to build my community.
And why fitness? Most people say build community, which I understand. Why is more of it fitness? Say
Yeah,
that.
we all need it. And it's
Mhm.
easier together. We all go further together. And it's not sitting at a bar drinking a beer. It's doing something good for my body. I feel better at the end of every day. And I think that we can support each other, and I'm gonna push you to 225. I mean 525, you're in my community. You're gonna squat 550 soon, and who knows what I'm gonna go do next. You're gonna push me to do it. I think that's
Yeah.
cool. And I mean, I said, you can have professional athletes working out with people who have never worked out a day in their life. And there's this common thread of, we are both working out. We are both exercising right now, and we're going to do it together. It's really cool. I found that everywhere in the world.
It's no matter what. And Equinox, great culture, somewhat, but you walk into the gym no matter what, and everyone's there for the same reason, right? They want to push themselves and get better. And after a while, that culture
Yes.
just sticks. And then you take a cycle class when you have 45 people doing something hard together. It's just, there's no way around not building camaraderie
Yeah.
day one. You can go in and just sit next to someone and be, hey, we just went through that together. I never met you, but we did something that's going to bond us a little bit. You might not say a word to that person, but next time you see them, you're going to know that person because you went through an experience and you build something. I love that. I think fitness is important for that aspect because it helps people bond together.
And if I'm sprinting next to you and we just accomplished something, maybe it was my fastest sprint I've ever done in my life, and you're there and you give me a fist bump or a high five or a pat on the back, man, we're bonded. You just said, we're in it. We're in it together.
I tell people sometimes as a coach, I'm more jazzed up, or I get more good feeling by having someone else hit a PR or realize that they just did a chin up. When you give that fist bump, or when there's a competition or a race and you don't know these people, but you're just high fives, fist bumps, it sometimes does more to me than it might do to the person, but the person's probably, hey, I'm getting good and we're energy and we're feeding off this.
Another pillar of mine that's a really important one is volunteering and community service. I started doing that as a young person, and my dad and my mom took us to do different things with different churches and food giveaways. When I was in high school, I started coaching the Special Olympics youth swim team. That was magical for me. I'm starting with kids that are afraid to touch the water, and by the end of the season, they're swimming a lap fast. Maybe they're nonverbal, but you can see all the pride when they touch the wall, and I'm locked in with them. I know that feeling. I'm with them, and I help them get there. And now they have a community. Recently, I started volunteering with a local organization called Racers for Pacers. And I don't personally need to go run another 5K. I don't need the t-shirt or the bib or the trophy. But there's a lot of kids who can't walk, who are wheelchair bound, who would love that t-shirt and love that medal. Yeah. And I'm pushing wheelchairs with this organization for kids that can't walk and helping them do 5Ks and 10Ks. And it's cool to not only for the actual kid, but for their parents to see their kid involved in that community. It's special and beautiful. That is another huge piece of it for me. There's always somebody that you can help feel loved, which ultimately that's what community is, right? You can help somebody feel loved through fitness and health. I think it's awesome. I'm a proponent. I'm a huge fan of it.
And then that person, usually they'll pass it on to someone else, and you keep building that culture. You help people find their goals in life, and it's just forever giving and giving. It's awesome. For you, we got a couple pillars. Any more pillars?
Yeah. Another one for me is finding a creative outlet. When I was going through the thick of it, when I was 15, I went down to this place called Skip's Music in Sacramento and bought the cheapest guitar on their wall and bought a little book about chords and this was before the internet, and figured out how to play chords and figured out how to play songs. And for me, that was beautiful. And I also loved going to art museums and seeing other people's creations. That's another big part of the pillar for me, is a creative outlet. Find something, whether it's drawing or writing or painting or any sort of artistic outlet that you feel it, because what you're doing is you're using your imagination, and when you're using your imagination, you're feeling something. I think that's great. That's why I loved acting, and I've written things. I played guitar. I love playing guitar. I'm not great at it, and I love singing, and I'm not great at it, but I'm going to do it. Sorry to my neighbors.
Right.
That's another big one. The community involvement, whether that's your family, friends, or people that you meet. Physical fitness, nutrition is important. And that's part of that physical fitness pillar, is eating food that's serving your body. I get blood panels quarterly. Then I know what my body needs. I eat intentionally. All my meals are intentional based on what my body actually needs and what it needs less of. Yeah, and then the spirituality component, I think, is the other one. Some people don't want to get involved in that, and that's fine. That's kind of the bonus pillar for me. Is I mentioned I went to a Catholic high school, but Catholicism isn't 100% my lane. When I was in college, I started looking at other religions and other spiritualities, and I sort of went to all of them. I dabbled for years and years. Some of them I got way more into, and some of them I just touched my toe in and got out. But I look at spirituality for me in the same sense as Bruce Lee looks at martial arts. He has this thing called Jeet Kune Do, the way of no ways, meaning learn as much as you can of every single art and master it. And then what you need in that moment, you have that tool in your toolbox. And I think that's the way I approach spirituality. Yeah.
Love it.
Those are my basic pillars. I have them written out and I can share them with you guys. I'm going to actually write a book here pretty soon that involves all of my chapters in my life and then how they all tie together, and then my pillars of my roadmap to resiliency, which is what I'm calling it. But it's basically, yeah, my parents raised a resilient young man, maybe without knowing it, maybe with knowing it. And that path has led me on to a very fulfilling life that didn't involve drugs or major depression. I wanted to let people know that if you're feeling down or you're dealing with grief or mourning, there are natural, healthy activities and tools that you can use every single day. Even if you just use one a day, your life will become more colorful and more fulfilling. That's kind of what I want to impart on people.
Sometimes I think the world of grief and depression, sadness, people look, oh, it has to be medical. It has to always be doctor, this. Sometimes it can be, but there's simple daily tasks that you can start to build on, those pillars you mentioned, to start to pull yourself and heal yourself as best possible. Sometimes you need a doctor to put you in the right trajectory where you can get on the path to start to be who that person wants to be, who you want to be. And it's those pillars that you mentioned. You can start simple.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you dive deep into them, the music, I love that, or art, right? You're incorporating different hemispheres of the brains and different emotion and creativity, which is going to unlock different things as you go. We need that as humans. Even if you don't have that traumatic background, you can still benefit from any of those pillars. You don't have to have gone through all that stuff. Some people, their worst day might be they got broken up with and they're young, but they can still use those pillars to create something.
Somebody gave me a really simple task to do once, and I think your audience might benefit from it. It was what got me back into working out when I was 25. Basically, open your notes app in your phone, and it's an ongoing note. Every line that you're going to write in is just one thing that makes you feel good. Not drugs or alcohol, but an activity or something that's healthy that makes you feel good. That could be meditation or just breathing or going for a hike or going to your favorite coffee shop or whatever. That list just grows and grows. Every time you can be talking with a friend on the phone, and you say, I love talking to this person. I'm putting that on whenever I talk to, that makes me feel good. I'm going to put that on the list. And then when you're feeling down, you can open that note and look at any one of those items on that list and go do that. Do one. Then if you're doing that day after day, you're living a great life. You're living your dream life. Easy, simple takeaway. And I think it's really helpful. And that's what got me into fitness again, because I truly was, you know what? I did love going to the gym. I love pushing weight, and I got the gym membership the next day.
Yeah. Brought you back to it, huh? All right, we're coming up on an hour. Where can people find you if they want more information or contact?
The easiest one is just Instagram at the Colin Owensby, or also I have a website, thecolinowensby.com. Yeah, my portfolio is on there if you want to reach out for any inquiries, or if you just want to say what's up, at the Colin Owensby on Instagram is probably the best way to do it.
Are you still doing
No, I haven't.
movie stunts for
I haven't
Twitter, or are we
done that. The other person I did work for was Chris Pine. I worked on a movie with Denzel Washington with him
That's cool.
called Unstoppable, which was
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, no, that's behind me.
That's cool. All right, man. We appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom, your life journey, your story, and how you're day to day keep
Thank
pushing
you, brother.
through.
I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate your audience for taking a listen.
Matt Gluckman and Eric Menchie here from Think Fitness Life. Our entire careers have been dedicated to fitness, particularly how the mind helps the body. We've been around gyms and nutrition strategies for 25 plus years collectively, and nothing harms or helps better than your own mind, untrained or trained. Pushing beyond your limits, overcoming whatever's thrown your way, and making the decision to show up day in and day out as a lifestyle takes more soul than sand. And what I mean by that is when you can get your mindset and heart leading you consistently in the direction of your goals and dreams, well, it's just a matter of time before you have the performance, physique, or quality of life you're yearning for. See, your thoughts will stem from your beliefs, which will then lead you to action, which develop into your behavior and ultimately lead you to results. It's really that simple. Our process takes time and it takes open communication. It's amazing what pops up along the fitness journey to betterment, and we can be there every step of the way. To learn more or apply for coaching, visit www.thinkfitnesslife.com. Start recreating your life today.
Summer is here. At Orderly Meds, we know this time is a reminder that life is full of new beginnings. Whether you're celebrating the nice weather, starting a new chapter, planning a vacation, or simply looking ahead to what's next, this season can be the perfect time to invest in yourself and your health. If you've struggled with weight loss and are curious about GLP-1 medications, Orderly Meds can help you learn about your options. Through a simple virtual process, you can connect with licensed medical professionals who can determine whether treatment may be appropriate for you. Getting started is fast, convenient, and happens online from the comfort of home. This summer, consider a new approach to feeling your best. Visit orderlymeds.com/podcast to learn more. That's orderlymeds.com/podcast. orderlymeds.com/podcast. Because every new season is an opportunity to take the next step forward. Compounded medications are not FDA approved. Eligibility required and determined by a licensed provider. Individual results may vary. See website for details.